There it is. All right, take it away, Elsie. Thank you.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Peter. As Peter mentioned, my name is Elsie Gonzalez. I am the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at CREC, Capital Region Education Council. I am also the board member here at Leadership Greater Hartford, and I'm so thrilled to see you all here this morning. Thank you so much for starting the day with us. We know that you have many choices for your learning, development, and networking, and choosing us is just the right place to be. Since 2010, the Lessons in Leadership series has been a unique way for our network to come together for continued development and relationship building. And this is what you may call a mashup between a book club, leadership training, and also some virtual networking. So this series gives us a chance to engage, re-engage with one another around a timely issue by drawing LGH's human-centered leadership approach insights from a dynamic author and also diverse perspectives from folks that are in the room. So that's all of you here today. This year, the many challenges facing our community, with all the challenges that have been facing our community, Brene Brown's newest book, Strong Ground, was a really easy choice for us to select. It's our hope that you will read along in the book with us, knowing that the reading material is not required for us to participate, but each of you, our guests and facilitators, use concepts and themes from the book as a catalyst for our conversations. So there will be plenty of time for sharing and learning. By now, some of you that have joined us, before are familiar with our virtual norms. However, before we dive into today's session, we wanted to highlight a few. Lessons in Leadership is designed to be interactive. We will have facilitated breakout rooms later where we hope that you'll have your cameras on and participate as much as you are able. We also invite you to rename yourselves on Zoom to reflect your name, professional affiliation, preferred pronouns, or any other information you'd like us to know. Also, please say hello in the chat. Feel free to introduce yourselves to other participants who are here. You'll be muted throughout the presentation, as Peter mentioned this morning, but will be unmuted during the breakout sessions. If you find you're having any technical difficulties, please send a chat to Leadership Greater Hartford. A special thanks to Brittany Bettis Allen, who is behind the scenes, and also Peter for helping everything go smoothly this morning. We have also enabled closed captioning this morning, so just click on the CC icon on the bottom of your screen if you need that, where you will see live time transcriptions of everything that's being said today. Before we move on, I'd like to say thank you to our series sponsors, CIL and CREC. Today's session and this series would not be possible without these sponsors. CIL is a Hartford-based 501c3 nonprofit real estate developer and community partner focusing on creating and sustaining accessible, supportive housing and community resources for people with disabilities and other long-term support needs. Since its founding, CIL has partnered with service providers and communities to expand inclusive housing options, improve independence, and enhance quality of life through development consulting, accessibility improvements, and innovative community investment. Capital Region Education Council, CREC, my home right at the moment, my professional home, is a regional education service center for serving more than 30 districts in the Greater Hartford region. We are celebrating our 60th anniversary, if you can't tell by our backgrounds. And we provide a wide range of high quality program services that support students, educators, and families. CREC's work includes professional development for educators, operation of tuition-free inter-district magnet school, customized educational programming, and collaborative services that advance equity, excellence, and the opportunity for learners of all ages. To learn more about CIL or CREC, please visit their website, where we have put them in the chat right now. Thank you, Peter. Again, thank you to all of our friends at CIL and CREC for their investments and long-term support of LGH. We'd also like to thank our visionary sponsors, as seen on the screen. These partners have invested in our year-long alumni engagement events, including Lessons in Leadership. Are there any individuals from the sponsoring organizations present with us today this morning? If so, wave at us, say hello in the chat. Oh, I see you, Heather, with your heart. Thank you for being here. Dana, Tom Sullivan is celebrating. Look at us. Awesome. Where am I? Oh, here we go. So if you have not already connected with us on social media, be sure to do so. Take a few minutes to get into your phone right now and on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. This is a great, this is a great way to support LGH and help others learn about the programs that we offer. We hope that you stay connected with us frequently after today's session and share all the wonderful events that we have going on. So we hope you can join us for the final 2 sessions of this series, as the lifetime conversations and breakouts are very powerful. However, if you can't attend one, your registration does cover all 4 sessions so that you can receive the recording afterwards with our follow-up communication. And as you can see, we have a great group of LGH friends who will share their talents and gifts with us throughout the series, drawing up on Brené Brown's wisdom of what it truly means to lead from a strong ground. These facilitators are dynamic, talented, and will share their insights, pulling themes from the book as mentioned. And now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce today's presenter, Malik Champlain. Malik is an educational consultant with the State Education Resource Center, commonly known as SERC here in our region, where he partners with school districts, state agencies, and community organizations to strengthen leadership, culture, and systems that better serve young people and families. His work focuses on leadership development, racial equity, and helping organizations navigate complex challenges while building cultures grounded in trust, clarity, and shared purpose. Before joining SERC, Malik served as a parole officer with the Connecticut Department of Correction and as an adult probation officer, supporting individuals and families navigating their re-entry process. His career has also included work as a special ed teacher. We love our special education teachers, so thank you for that time, Malik, and a university lecturer, giving him a broad perspective on leadership across education, justice, and community systems. Malik is a nationally recognized speaker and facilitator who has led professional learning and leadership workshops at colleges, school systems, and community organizations across the country. He delivered a TEDx Hartford talk titled Live Your Dreams, Not Your Fears, and he has been recognized for his community leadership with honors including the Hartford Business Journal 40 Under 40 Award, the NAACP Martin Luther King Legacy Award, the Connecticut 100 Men of Color Award, and the Three Sisters Community Outreach Award. Malik is currently completing his Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership at UConn, go Huskies. Known for his authentic facilitation style and practical leadership insight, he helped leaders move from conversation to courageous action. Malik, welcome. The floor is yours.
Oh man, come on, come on. Thank you so much. It's always phenomenal when somebody reads about you or looks you up and takes the time to speak about some of the things that you've done. Can you give me 1 second? Mhm.
Looks good.
You can see it, right?
Yeah, we got it. You look great.
Okay. Sorry, give me one more try at it.
Was it showing your presenter view on your screen, or what are you looking at?
Yeah, it just had me go blank. Sorry, it does that. Maybe. Not that. I just
So I know it's tough. We can't see your screen, so I can't troubleshoot with you. Is there that little on the top of the presenter screen? Can you switch views?
you know what? Y'all can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's all right. We'll get it going like this.
All right.
Um, so first and foremost, good morning and thank you everybody for having me here today. Um, man, session two. If you were in the book with Brene Brown, Strong Ground, there is so much here that is just phenomenal. Um, Thinking about the chapters I had a lot going on from chapter 7 to 11. But what I want to do first is whenever I'm getting going in a presentation, um, I like to go through the idea of this idea of name, place, and intention. So my name is Malik Champlain. And Malik means king, right? My mother told me that growing up. She always said when you walk into a room, when you talk, your essence, your presence has to be that of royalty, right? I'm very proud of my last name, Champlain. I'm Black and Native American. I come from the Micmac and Narragansett tribal nations. So knowing my roots and knowing where I am is very important to me. So when I go to place, and I think about place, what's really awesome about that is that Brooklyn birthed me, but CT raised me. So the place I'm in now is in Windsor, Connecticut. That's where my feet are right now. And then lastly, my intention. My intention for our time together today is to create a space for honest reflection about leadership that's not just theory, but rooted in the real work. So with that being said, um, I come to you as the lucky husband of my wife, Rosalind Champlain, and the father of three amazing children. My oldest, Naomi, my middle daughter, Nia, and my youngest son, my main man, Mason. So, but let's kind of jump into some content. This morning, I want you to start here. Leadership today requires something different than it did 10 years ago. Leaders are becoming, leaders are being asked to move faster, to manage more complexity, to build trust across different domains, to respond to challenge in real time, and to still deliver results. So the challenge is not just performance. The challenge is how to lead when the ground is moving. And that's why this session matters. Today's conversation is built around Brene Brown's book, Strong Ground, right? But I don't want this to sound like a book report or some book readout. I really want it for us this morning to be a mirror for leadership. Because the real question is not what did the book say? The real question is, what is leadership asking of us in this moment? And today, I want to frame that through three anchors. And those anchors are clarity, courage, and shared purpose. Let's start with the leadership environment we're all operating in right now. What kind of leadership moment are we living in? You can let that sit for a second. As you well know, the world's leaders are navigating a lot of things today, including constant disruption, rapid technology change, growing workforce expectation, increased social complexity, pressure for transparency and trust. Today's leadership environment is not simply more demanding, it is fundamentally different. Leaders are navigating accelerated change, rising expectations for trust. In moments like this, leadership is not just about managing systems well, it is about helping people understand where we are and where we're going. So I ask you, are you leading for the world that formed us or the world that's emerging? Now, the challenge, right? Leadership has challenges. I think it's funny. When I first became a leader, I was like, why am I having so many problems? Or it's funny, like no, sometimes a job tells you you're a leader, but sometimes you just eventually take on these leadership roles and you're like, oh, I'm leading and I'm managing these problems. And part of leading is managing problems. And I had to stop asking for less problems and start building my capacity to manage the weight better. So when I think about what leaders are facing right now, man, organizations today are navigating uncertainty, burnout, misalignment, cultural tension, mission drift. But Brene Brown, in this book, she reminds us, right, that the issue is rarely a lack of intelligence. More often, the deeper leadership challenge is clarity, courage, and shared purpose. Funny how we keep coming back to those. So let's pause for a moment and take a quick pulse check. Do me a favor. Um, could you, I want to invite you to drop a number into the chat. Uh, Drop a one if you or people in your team are experiencing uncertainty right now. Drop a two if you or people on your team are experiencing burnout. And I'm gonna shake it up a little bit. Drop a three if you personally have been experiencing both. I'm gonna give you a moment. Oh, my chat box is blowing up, so I like that. Good, good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yep. Man, I was doing a session yesterday with the statewide parent advisory group, and it was phenomenal working with the parents. But I'm glad that you're sharing, right? Because so many times in leadership, kind of like leading at home, we sometimes do it in silos, or I would say for me, a lot of times. And there's beauty in community when we're able to kind of share not just our wins, but our struggles, our losses, and then our best practices, right? Our joys. And but let me kind of bring it back. So similar to what I saw in the chat, we get a mixture. I saw a lot of threes too. And that matters because two things, uncertainty and burnout. They're shaping our leadership environment across all sectors. And that's why leadership work is important and the work that we're doing here today. Because leadership in this moment is not just about managing pressure. It's about helping people find the ground to stand on while change is happening. That leads me to what I felt like as I was making this presentation, the core question. Um, this core question for session two is a strong one, and it's not just how do we manage complexity or how do we avoid conflict, but how do we lead with clarity, courage, and shared purpose? Because each of these three words matter. Clarity matters because confusion fragments people. When people don't know what is true, what matters, or where we're going, energy is wasted, right? We're on this treadmill, we're not really going nowhere. When we think about courage, courage matters because most leadership drifts is not because of lack of intelligence, it's because of a lack of avoidance. And shared purpose matters because people can endure hard work when they know why they're doing it. And y'all, I know y'all know what that is. When people understand, have that mission clarity, and they know the why, not just the what or the how. I can go into my Simon Sinek, but they know the why, right? They can sustain through difficulty. So as we move through the session, I want you to keep returning to this question. Where is our leadership? Where does it need clarity? Where is courage needed? Where is purpose being lost, diluted, or protected instead of activated? 4 words. When courage is absent. When courage is absent, the only thing I had there was like, when courage is absent, it gets weird, right? In organizations, you start getting silence, back channeling, fake harmony. Y'all know, low trust. You have the meeting after the meeting, performative alignment, right? Without fidelity. One of the clearest things from this book, it talked a lot about organizational dysfunction. It's not just a strategy issue. It's mainly a courage issue. In Brené's previous book, Dare to Lead, which I know a lot of us have read, but if you haven't, it's worth it. It taught us that to be unclear is to be unkind. And that matters because when leaders avoid clarity, the culture does not stay neutral, it compensates. And the way it compensates is weird. People start saying one thing in a room and another thing outside the room. People start nodding in meetings, but resisting in practice. Some of that passive aggressiveness. Feedback gets replaced by gossip. Trust gets replaced by reading between the lines. And then leaders say, we want communication. We have a communication issue. No. Often we have a courage issue. And that's the weirdness most of us have seen. What conversation is your culture paying a price for to avoid? And when I mean culture, I mean the culture of your organization. What conversation is your culture paying a price to avoid? Because here it is, the cost always shows up. This is not a rhetorical question. This is a diagnostic. Every organization is paying a price for avoiding a truth. I could say every organization is paying a price for avoiding a truth. The only question is where the bill is showing up. Maybe it's showing up in turnover, staff fatigue, confusion, low accountability, in innovation that never gets past the brainstorming phase. Brené Brown's work keeps pushing us towards the same truth. Avoided conversations don't disappear, they go underground. And when truth goes underground, it comes back as dysfunction. Sometimes the conversation being avoided is a people conversation, a performance conversation, a power conversation, or maybe it's a race and equity, gender conversation. One thing I've learned in leadership spaces is this, is that conversations that we avoid at the top rarely stay there. They always leak downward into morale, culture, and execution. One of the gifts that we get from Brené Brown's work is that she demystifies courage. Courage is not reserved for the loudest person in the room. It is not for the most charismatic, or it is not just being fearless. Courage is a discipline that has to be practiced. It's not this, I was born within my DNA, right? Think about a leader who has to tell a high performer that is also a harmful employee, like, your results are strong, but your leadership is costing the team. That leader might not feel bold. They probably feel anxious. Their voice might even shake. Their stomach might turn. But if they choose truth, accountability, and care, that is courage. This ain't no movie. It's not gonna feel like all cinematic. A lot of times courage is a hard email, a direct conversation. And courage is an apology. Um, I'm somebody who takes a lot of pride in being a great father, not a good father, a great father. And I remember my oldest was about 5, and she said, Dad, you never apologize. And I mean, I got all defensive inside, and I wanted to, and I'm big on people apologizing, and the kids and teaching them that. And I had to look in the mirror, and as a leader in my family, um, I had to really have the ability to self-reflect and then repair harm and apologize to my family as a whole. And then kind of have that reset. But it had to be named, and it took a 5-year-old to name it, right? And I think about what Brene does is she helps us think about courage through these practices, living into values, rumbling with vulnerability, braving trust, and learning to rise. And if that doesn't breed resiliency, right? What does? Leaders have to be resilient. That's important because courage can be developed. It is not a personality type. You can take all of the tests you want. It is a disciplined form of leadership. Now, here's the thing we gotta talk about. What if the system itself is the problem? Hmm. A lot of organizations keep trying to coach people harder inside um, of the process without making any structural changes to things that are outdated, misaligned, and quite harmful. So we ask, why aren't people collaborating? Why aren't managers more innovative? Why are teams exhausted? Why is morale low? And sometimes the answer is not people need more motivation, they need more grit. It's this generation. Oh, I've heard it all. Sometimes the answer is the system is producing exactly what it has been built to produce. And for y'all know that I do a lot of equity work in education, so you know I quite often say that line. Examples that I can give you, right? A school district says it wants innovation but punishes risk. A nonprofit says it values wellness but rewards overextension. A company says it wants collaboration but structures incentives competitively. This is where Brown pushes leaders beyond surface change. Transformation is not just simply replacing people or launching an initiative, right? I want you to think about it like this. Um, when I was in college, this book came out, right? Now, don't start dating me, but the Phoenix Suns, it makes you think about them, right? And their 7-second offense in the mid 2000s. At, oh, sorry. At that time, it was revolutionary, right? Under Mike D'Antoni, Steve Nash, the Suns they played fast, they played with pace, they were quick, fast breaks, rapid offense. They were shooting within 7 seconds. I want y'all to know that was absolutely crazy. And they were out shooting everybody. They put pressure on defense with their speed and creativity. It was phenomenal to watch. It almost looked unstoppable. But then, if you know anything about basketball, when the playoffs come, the game gets a little slower, the pace not as fast, and they stuck with that 7-second offense. Possession after possession, they were deliberate. Hey, we're going to keep sticking with what got us here. And their opponents were able to exploit them for that and the fact that they didn't play a ton of defense. Why do I bring this up? Because that is a leadership lesson. Sometimes organizations try to out talent, out hustle, out innovate a structural weakness. For a while, it looks like success. But when the pressure rises, the system always tells the truth. And that leaders, I'll say, this, and that to lead is one of the hardest truths is that sometimes what got us here, right, isn't what's going to keep us here. And that's how we transition into this next part. Your greatest strength can become your ceiling. This is one of the hardest leadership truths to accept. The thing that made an organization successful can now be what limits us. Discipline can become stiffness. Consensus can become avoidance. Hustle can become burnout. Loyalty can become silence. Leaders need the humility to ask, what have we normalized that no longer serves the mission? The question is difficult, but it requires us to stop romanticizing the old model, right? You can't come with Windows 98, right? When we got Windows 11. We can't go to the old model. I think earlier we were talking about vinyl. We were talking about cassettes, the age track and its short run. You can't come in a streaming world. And we gotta be okay with that. Because it doesn't mean that the past is wrong. It means the context has changed. And wise leadership knows the difference between honoring legacy and being trapped by it. Now let's talk about half-hearted transformation. It exhausts people. Let's be real. One of the worst things an organization can do is destabilize people without actually changing what matters. New strategic plan, same communication patterns. New value language, right? We love new language, right? Same reward structures. New org chart, same lack of trust. The kind of have change, it wears people down. I've seen the system work. People are not always resistant to change. A lot of things they're resistance to is fake change. They've lived through too many resets, right? Too much change language, but not change experiences. We've all seen it. A team is told we're entering a new chapter. But if the same voices dominate, the same fears go unnamed, and the same contradictions remain untouched, people don't experience transformation. They experience rebranding. And when that happens, cynicism grows, contempt grows, and you can't have that. Leadership and management. Um, I love to hear two voices, right? Or at least a couple. What is the difference for you between leadership and management?
Yeah, we're in unmute. We can't unmute folks right now, Malik. So I can, if somebody raises their hand, I think I can ask you to unmute. I think that
Oh, no,
works.
no. It is okay. I could make it rhetorical and bring it right back.
Well, folks can chat too. I think that's a good
Okay,
chat
yeah, but
question.
you could definitely blow up the chat. But I'll give you this, right? A manager is not an unfinished leader. A leader is not a manager with more authority. They are distinct different roles that overlap, right? And responsibilities. Um, what we get from Jenny Clark in the book, she helps us see that organizations often make two mistakes. They promote great technical people into management without developing them, and they romanticize leadership while underinvesting in management. I mean, y'all know this. We have people who are great individual contributors that then get promoted to management without the due diligence and the work and the right and some of the, as we'll learn later, some of the poetry of leadership. Um, and sometimes we have leaders, right, that come in and we romanticize the motivation and the culture building a little bit, and with the need that we have to balance both, right? We need both. We need planning and vision, right? And that matters because the problem is not that we need one or the other, right? The problem is when we confuse them, we overvalue one, right? Or we assume the other one automatically produces for the other one, right? It's like if you have a good leader, right, and a lot of these leadership qualities we have here on this list, it doesn't mean that the management falls in place. Or if the person is great and organized and executes, it doesn't mean, right? But the beauty is also there's some shared responsibilities that we see here, right? That trust, communication, judgment. Um, I see a lot of power like in that. Oh, I love it in the chat. To me, leadership is primarily directional. Management is is about maximizing people. Good. Leaders lead out and in. Management leads in. Leadership moves forward. Management controls. Right. And often when we ask these questions, it's not East Coast West Coast beef, right? One hand wash the other, both hands wash the face. Because and I can talk about my leadership journey was that I felt very called to vision and alignment, courage, meaning making. But it was the execution part of understanding how to delineate and process and work effectively with my executive functioning skills, with my organization and execution and I had to just understand that about myself and understand that as I grow as a leader, right, we find that both work with each other and help the organization. Compliance versus commitment, right? Even when I say it, compliance versus commitment. The distinction matters. A system can survive for a while on compliance, but it cannot become excellent on compliance alone. Commitment is when people bring more than asked, right? Commitment is when you invite people over to the cookout, right? To the barbecue and they bring more than just napkins and juices, right? Maybe they bring some meat for the grill. Okay, but they could leave home the potato salad, but they can bring the meat for the grill. Compliance is often enough to keep the lights on. But commitment is what creates innovation, resilience, shared ownership, leadership at every level. So if people are only complying, leaders should ask, is the mission clear? Is truth present? Is accountability fair? Is feedback useful? And are people safe enough to think, challenge, and contribute? Ooh, I know some y'all was thinking like me, like I've been some places where like I couldn't imagine them asking this, but this is not a motivation problem, right? It's usually a systems and leadership problem to get people from compliance to commitment. Um, this is where the conversation gets a little bit more current. We know that the workforce has changed. Expectations have changed, technology has changed, the speed of information has changed, and many leaders' habits have not. Some leaders think pressure proves seriousness. Some still confuse silence with alignment. Some still believe people should be grateful for being overworked and receiving low feedback. Or some leaders that I've gotten over the last, especially 6 months, have said, "I really don't think I should hire anybody under 32 because, man, them Gen Zers they ask for too much." People today, especially our young professionals, but not just them, right? Our professionals of color, our women leaders, our mission-driven workers, and our value-oriented talent are asking deeper questions. Do I matter here? Can I trust the truth here? Can I grow here? Can I trust leadership here? That's not fragility. That's discernment. People are not asking organizations to become soft. They're asking organizations to become more human, more coherent, and more accountable. And this is probably my favorite part of the book, right? I love this idea of, I already told y'all, like, right, like vision and all that. Mission clarity turns work into meaning. In the book, Brown talks about this dichotomy of plumbing and poetry. This metaphor is a brilliant metaphor, right? Because it helps us stop splitting organizations into the practical people and the purposeful people. The truth is, all meaningful work needs both. Plumbing is the infrastructure. Sorry. Plumbing is the infrastructure, right? We're talking about process, logistics, accuracy, handoffs, resources. Poetry is what tells people. It tells us why it matters, who serves, what stories they're a part of, why the hard work is worth it. If people only get plumbing, work becomes mechanical. If people only get poetry, work becomes vague. Strong leadership gives them both. This matters because a lot of organizations are operationally functioning, but emotionally disconnected. Um, I know I'm working up on some time, so I'm gonna get there. But I'll be remiss, right? Talking about this idea of mission clarity and making every role meaningful. If I don't tell you in the book, it talks about this story that Brene talks about going to visit St. Jude's Children's Hospital in Memphis. So she basically she gets on the elevator. She sees a woman in uniform pushing a cart, right, a dessert cart, and Brown asks her, "What do you do here?" The woman says without hesitating, "I cure cancer." Right? Obviously, Brown's caught off guard. But the woman further explains, right? Like the patients, the families, the doctors, the nurses, they all need food. They all need care. They all need support. Crazy. But she gets off the elevator. It continues. Brown now gets to her floor. She later is speaking with a volunteer, and she asks her, "Hey, how long have you been here?" And the volunteer says, "I've been curing cancer for 2 years now." I want to make sure that that story hits you like it hit me. That story hits because nobody in that building thought the mission belonged only to the doctors. The mission had been communicated so clear that the people could see themselves inside of it. That's what mission clarity looks like. Mission clarity is not when the executive team can say the mission statement, or when a leader can run around and ask random people what is the mission statement and see if they know it. It is when the people closest to the daily work know that their role matters. Man, powerful. And in the midst of this, when we have clarity, clarity fuels creativity, right? We know that. And that creativity, it then allows us to understand, right, that with the technology that we have for the future. She speaks about this lady speaks in chapter 11. Amy Webb is warning leaders that we are not in a moment, right? Well, that we are in a moment where change is compounding. AI is a part of it, but not the whole story. Biotechnology, advanced sensors, converging systems are changing how we decide, work, and relate. I know we feel it. The future is not waiting politely, right? It's crashing up against us. It's not asking for organizations to catch up. It's already showing us hiring, learning, trust, relevance, planning, and culture. It's moving at light speed. So now, right now, teams are anxious about AI. Leaders are underinvesting in upskills. Staff are fearing irrelevance, Organizations are shortening planning cycles because uncertainty feels overwhelming. So the leadership responsibility is not just to react to change, it is to help people interpret it. So talking about change, I love this idea of how to correct a slide. Now I'm not sure how many of y'all have been, we had some snowy weather recently, some icy weather, and you probably hit an ice patch or two. Um, and if you hit an ice patch while driving, your body wants to slam on the brakes, but that instinct makes the situation worse. The wiser move is to steer into the slide, to move with awareness, respond intentionally, and make a series of small adjustments until it returns under control. And I really feel like that is what leadership is in this moment, right? The instinct to grip tighter, right? To control more, less transparency, less risk, more to react more. But wise leadership asks, what small decisions help us regain alignment? What signals do we need to read better? How do we prepare but not panic? How do we respond but not react? This matters because steering into the slide is not recklessness. It's not denial. It is practice, discipline, adaptation. And it's not easy, right? So, as I'm landing the plane, I want to ask, um, are we working within clarity, courage, and purpose? Right? Because when we look at those three, um, and we're processing that ask, I really need to know that clarity helps people know what is true. Courage helps leaders act on that truth. And purpose helps people stay connected to why the work matters. And when those three come together, though, organizations become more honest, more resilient, and more aligned. Because clarity without courage becomes observation. Courage without purpose becomes ego. And purpose without clarity becomes sentiment. Strong leadership needs all three. So before we move into our breakouts, I want to bring this down from theory to responsibility. The question is not just, what did Brene Brown say? The question is, what is leadership asking of me now? Where am I being called to grow in truth telling, in trust building, in leadership change, in mission clarity, in preparing for what's next? This is a moment, right, where we get to shift now from content to reflection. So I want people to move into breakouts, not with just ideas, but with ownership. So yeah, let's have opportunity to do that. Peter, would you want me to share the breakout slides, or would you like to?
I mean, you can click over to it for a moment, but these are if you just
Yep.
want to show folks, but your facilitators have these questions. So we'll have about 15 minutes or so to have some conversation. I think Brittany's got everyone's breakout rooms all set here. And yeah, so thank you, Malik. We will come back and have you debrief and hear what the conversations are like. If you're lucky enough, Malik will be in your breakout room as well. So thank you. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
And there might be a couple facilitators in one room, depending, folks, just so you know, so you can share responsibility if you need to. So yeah, Brittany, if you want to hit it, thank you. Welcome back, friends. How are your conversations? Seeing some smiles. Excellent. We'll give it another minute, let everybody else come back. Chris, are you already in polo mode, or are we short sleeved? Wow, the official garb, our old Fastenal blue polos, where I worked too. So I'm used to the blue polo work shirt. Partners get sick of seeing that every day at home. It's where we're gotta be in uniform. All right, welcome back, everyone. I know a few folks had some 9 a.m.s they had to jump for, but glad to see so many of us. And let's see, you're back, Malik. Yeah, Malik, I'll let you if you wanna
Yep,
drive,
got you.
you're welcome to.
Ah, okay, we are locked in now.
All right, now you got it. It's great. So
All
yeah, we
right.
just want to check in with folks here to see what we heard.
So, well, number one, thank you so much for just even, getting in there and jumping into these 4 questions. So what I'm gonna ask is, what tensions felt most real? What truth felt most urgent? What leadership move feels necessary now? What resonated with you that you maybe thought of or that you heard in your breakout session?
And folks should be able to unmute. You can either raise your hand or just unmute and chime in. It's all good either way. Right, Brittany? Everyone's good to be able to unmute themselves.
I got a couple of head nods that said no.
No, it's not working. There we go.
Look, I saw center, so I could put on a hat and then act like a twin of myself and answer it.
All right, could someone raise your hand for me if you want to speak, and then we'll be able to. There we go, Terrell. Thanks.
Oh, I was just testing.
Oh, now you're on.
Um, all right. Which one we doing?
Um, we can go with the first one. Where's there a leadership issue or tension people may be talking around instead of talking through?
Absolutely. So again, my name is Terrell Huff. I work at DT Cares. We focus on workforce development, upstream, prevention, and overall holistic mentorship, working inside of school districts. So I would say where leadership issues, tension, people may be talking around instead of talking through is that the difference in resources between schools or neighborhoods, school support gaps. Think about mentorship, mental health, exposure, opportunities versus suburban, city, or rural areas. And that reality is that some students have fewer role models or networks. And just as leaders, there's invisible
Mhm.
barriers and invisible networks.
Mm.
So we have to not create safe spaces, but brave spaces where the truth could be discussed. We got to bring real community voices because we can't be what we can't see.
Come on.
And then we have to help leaders and students talk through challenges instead of avoiding them, because this is where clarity becomes action. And this is where we get to help people see and speak their truth, allowing us to stand in the gap instead of just trying to close it.
I love that. Thank you, Dr. Huff. What I makes me think about is that I did some extensive training and then got a chance to do some time down in Austin with the Pacific Education Group, and we talked a lot about sometimes people don't know how to talk, right? They struggle with the tools to talk through tension, right? It's in the room because I don't know what to do with it. And one of the things around, especially with equity trainings, was this idea of the courageous conversations compass. And they had this quadrant where it was like feeling, believing, thinking, acting, and you kind of help people walk through it. So sometimes it's that tool and understanding that we need to build up our young people and our leaders and to be able to have those conversations. I think I see another hand up. Carol?
Hi, thanks, Malik. I just wanted to talk because the same thing came up in our last session when I was in the breakout room that came up today. And it's this tension about who is a leader. And two separate people have sort of said that they they feel like they are a leader, they have the qualities of a leader, they're trying to sort of exercise those skills like support the mission and to grow and to do those things, and that people at their organization don't consider them a leader. You know, they don't have the title, they won't give them the title. They're trying to have hard conversations
Mm.
with people and it's getting nowhere. And sort of what is this definition of who is a leader in a space keeps coming up.
Man, that thank you for sharing that. And that is a tension that you see amongst, different sectors, right? Uh, I think for me, I always go into um mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors. And this idea of like, first I have to see myself as a leader, right? So I'm looking at self. And if I see myself as a leader, if I'm accountable and responsible for steadying people and moving the mission, right? And I see my role in that. Like I love that St. Jude story, right? Then I'm a leader. I'm the in basketball they'll say something like you had to be a star in your role, right? And you might be leading in that capacity. But it's like everybody is a leader. Is at what capacity are they leading? And then it's like, how do I look into where I can lead? And sometimes we get caught up in the power we don't have versus the power we do. And I'm always going to tell people is within your sphere of influence, what can I lead here in this? And that's where like those small nudges matter in terms of making bigger leadership moves. And sometimes it's leading from behind, right? Nelson Mandela talked a lot about that. And then this idea that when I get the opportunity to interact and I've built myself up, I can open the sliding glass door and I can get out there and give an opportunity, because sometimes it's a leadership change above you, it's a structural change, and sometimes it's sharpening, measuring twice and cutting once, right? And it's like being prepared for the opportunity to lead. And then the other thing that we talked about in our group was that, is this a place for me to be a leader at? That's what a lot more people are saying, right? We know women hit that glass ceiling. That like I've done research papers on that. Leaders of color, right? Other leaders, like, do they value me? And if they don't, guess what? Go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. Sorry for talking too much, but
That was
do I have another? Do I? And we can kind of like go through the other questions too, if you like. What resonated? Because I know we have a time limit.
Yeah, I think
Um,
we got time for maybe one more person to jump in, and maybe Anne's got her hand up there.
I'll, I'll say a brief something. There was a beautiful short discussion in our group between two people about trust and honesty, and they each came from a different one that they felt was more important. But through their brief discussion, they came to, and listening to each other, they came to the same understanding of the two and how they played together. And it was absolutely wonderful.
I love that, right? We know that great leaders listen. That doesn't get on the scoreboard. Great leaders listen. Championship level leaders listen.
It was good. It was good.
I think we had Ann Smith. I think that probably be our last one.
Sure.
Thank you, Malik. And I I really actually appreciate Linda's comment. And what I was going to say was, we did just have that statement of whether or not that's a position that you need to stay in. It's kind of okay. So do I need to stay working here? And so it's not only a question that employees need to ask. Sometimes that's a question that leadership needs to ask as well. Is it time for me to move on? And I think that that's very difficult sometimes, and especially for nonprofit leaders. We always need to be thinking about making sure that we are developing the capacity for our succession planning. It's a tough thing for some people to adapt to, but it's not just the board's responsibility. I think that um, executive leaders should always be trying to see, are they building a pool? Are they building a talent pool? And is there depth of leadership in their organization?
Wow, that powerful, powerful. I know we talked about leading with wisdom, and I think that you spoke to it, right? In the breakout I was in, there was some conversation around, right, mission clarity, but making sure that you start with self first. You know, I go with this motto of I got me, I got you, we got us, right? And if I start with me and I got me, I need to know my own mission clarity. Then I need to know, right, our mission clarity within our department, and then there needs to be the overall arching, right, mission clarity and how important that is. And from a poetic lens, right, instead of just the plumbing, it leads me to the word Ubuntu, which is Swahili for I am because we are. We are because I am, right? If I'm in the organization, I know for me, it has to be one in which your success is linked to mine, whether we're in the same department or not. Because then what happens is one hand washes the other, both hands wash the face, right? And then my mission need to be clear, so then I know that it aligns with your mission. And if we're aligned, that constellation, right, it shines, right? That is where we win at. That's where we have clarity. That's where we have courage, and that's where we have purpose. I know we have 5 minutes left, so Peter, I want to make sure I'm not.
Yeah, I think if you want to do your wrap up, then we'll let Elsie take us home. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you. But that's beautiful.
Okay.
Hope we're going to hear a lot more from Malik in the future, friends. It's great.
All right. So my last thing is, I think I said it earlier, like leadership is about setting people and moving the mission, right? It's about being where your feet are and standing on that strong ground that Brene Brown talks about. So as we close, I want to return us to the core question. How do we lead with clarity, courage, and shared purpose? I think the answer was across all the chapters of that I was able to go through from 7 to 11. And it was really this. We lead with clarity by naming the reality honestly that we're in. We lead with courage by acting on what is true, even when it costs us something. See, I love that versus me just saying integrity, right? Don't give me a virtue, a real value, right? Is something that we can live out, right? To be courageous is not the absence of fear, right? Courageous leaders that you know that stand in the gap, that sit there, right? And that know that they're uncomfortable. That's when you lead. When it was easy, everybody could do it, right? Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan till you get punched in the face. And my thing is that real leaders don't go down for the 8 count. They get up. So when we lead with purpose, right? By helping people understand why the work matters and where we're going, like why it matters and where we're going. I know it takes more time. I know it takes more resources. I know it takes more intentionality, but we have to also not look at the barrier, right? And like Terrell said in our group, it's not just the obligation, it's the opportunity. And I think that matters because in times like this, right? In times like this, I go back to my Dr. King book. We have to choose community over chaos, right? When we're asking where do we go from here, right? People don't just need leaders who can direct activities. They need leaders who can stand steady and move the mission forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malik. So much. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Malik, for a wonderful session on how we can guide our way of thinking about impactful leadership, for dropping some hot gems. I was furiously writing things down. Thank you all for being present this morning, for sharing, and we hope that you continue this conversation long beyond this Zoom room. Please join me with a reaction and thanking our fabulous breakout facilitators. I definitely learned a lot from my group. Thank you, Sue, Linda, Ben, and Larissa. Oh, look at all the love, you all. I love it. I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank again our sponsor, CIL and CREC. You're such wonderful partners, and LGH deeply appreciates your investment as it allows us to fulfill our mission here at LGH. Thank you also to our visionary sponsors. We couldn't do this transformative work without the support from all of you. And just as a reminder, we are in for a treat next week as we hear from my very special friend and mentor, Joelle Murchison. Joelle will continue to build on what we've discussed today and focus on paradox, creativity, and grounded confidence. Not sure what's happening. Okay, leadership programs. Here at LGH, we are going to stay very busy over the next few months, and we hope you can join us for some of our signature programming. Our Quest 2026 class is our largest class ever. It launches with a full day workshop next week on March 19th. And we're so excited. We even have a waiting list for this year. And we're already starting to fill spots for 2027. So also our executive orientation program has both spring and fall cohorts this year. So that's filling up quickly. This program, if you don't know, introduces exec leadership and senior leaders who are new to the region or newly promoted to senior level positions. And it introduces them to people, places, and possibilities here in our region. Also, if you're interested in exploring leadership workshop, retreats, or series for your teams, please reach out to us. Our road training programming can be customized to any team needs. So if you or someone would be interested in learning more about that, please reach out to us here, LGH staff, and we're putting that website in our chat. Save the date, my friends. We're looking forward to Polaris 2026 and hope to see you there. The award winners will be announced in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. We had a fabulous event last year, and we hope to see you all this year at Parkville Market. Thank you all for joining us this morning. As a reminder, you'll be receiving a survey from today's session. Please fill that out. Your feedback is very important to us as we leverage it to incorporate your ideas into future sessions. Thanks for participating in today's program. We hope that you left today inspired. I know I sure did. Took a lot of notes. I know that first I'm going to trust, then I'm going to name the issue, and then I'm going to work with my partners to repair. It has been such a wonderful time learning from all of you. Remember that strong teams are built by grounded people. So ground yourself, be brave enough to be vulnerable, stay connected, and work, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Thank you all so much. Thanks, LC. Really appreciate it.